I'm Ted. This is my podcast, The Real Ted G. And I want to talk about a topic that we've all, I think almost every single person that we know and ourselves have gone through. Riding a bicycle.
Oh, boy.
So, how did you learn how to ride a bicycle?
We put training wheels on, and I had a regular bike, and I had training wheels
Did
on.
you need a step ladder to get onto it?
I had to jump onto it. Actually, I was so short, and I used to play upright bass, so I loved things that were bigger than me. And I know you're gonna make a dirty joke about that too.
Oh,
I thought you were gonna make one.
I've obviously used up all my dirty jokes. I wanted to promote my listings open house today, and I'm hesitating because the address is 178 Wood Road in Centereach, and I just want to say, because it's an opportunity, it's a great investment opportunity, and I wanted to say, come check out my wood and see how many opportunities are there. My wood offers a lot of opportunity, and it does, though. It's really a big house. It has it could be multiple incomes. It's 1.3 acres. There's a lot of opportunities associated with my wood.
Well, we'll maybe make that a reel.
So anyway, back to training wheels. So
I had my training wheels. I did, yeah. And I had them until I was in 8th grade, and I was getting bullied. So I was like, I have to not do this anymore. Mm-hmm. So when your parents don't take the training wheels off, your peers will bully you into taking your training wheels off.
I kind of took my own training wheels off. I didn't want them. I feel like I learned how to ride a bicycle maybe a little older than most kids, so I didn't want to be like the training wheels. So I tried the training wheels, and I was like, okay. And then I
did you do the thing where you raised it?
No.
Because that's what I did.
That's what I just learned. I never even knew that could be a possibility. I was used to what I've seen out there is, you have the training wheels, and then the parents sometimes take the training wheels off, but they hold on to the back of the seat, and the kid is riding, and suddenly you let go, and the kid is riding, and that's great. It's like a TV sitcom. And then recently, a good friend of mine, Tom, and he tells me what his dad did, and he says, "Oh yeah, his dad, he had the training wheels, and then slowly without Tom knowing, probably like 5 years old, he would raise the training wheels up. When at some point it's like, yeah, you're not really using the training wheels; they're just there." Yeah. So anyway, that was the first time I thought of that. I was like, wow, that's great. That's ingenious. And then it's like being able to do the actual thing you want to do. Side note. Riding a bike is not like riding a bike, because all I know is I don't think I remember how to ride a bicycle. I actually think I tried riding a bike about 15 years ago, and I just cannot get my balance. And I know I knew how to ride a bike. I actually knew how to ride a bike. And right now I'm not sure. I also have a bad equilibrium. I would never be able to ride a dirt bike or a motorcycle.
Oh, that I would never. No.
I can't even do a moped.
My dad doesn't even want me to ride a bike, a motorcycle like that. Yeah, no, no.
I need training wheels for,
So you'd like a four-wheeler?
Yeah, I'd love a four-wheeler.
They used to make ATVs, or all-terrain vehicles, that were trikes.
Yep. I remember them. I think I've ridden those.
You used to ride those? Yeah.
Those
are great.
Yeah. But that would look weird on a motorcycle, so I could never have a bicycle.
It would, but then what you do is if you really wanted, you get a motorcycle with a sidecar, and then you have 3 wheels.
So I was going to make this about real estate and learning.
Right,
so,
yes.
So back to training wheels, and everyone has training wheels. It's like, a crutch, it's like you're holding someone's hand to get through the process, or you don't know the whole process yet. All right. And then I thought about it. I was like, wow, that's, learning how to ride a bike and training wheels. And I thought, there's all different ways to just learn. Like, do you just, baptism by fire? Do you just start? Do you just do it? No training wheels whatsoever. Just get on the bicycle and keep falling down until you're not falling down anymore. And sometimes I think that could be my approach. Sometimes.
I agree. I think it's a good approach in certain circumstances. Like when I started a new job, like I would maybe want like a week of training, but like some of the jobs that I've had, it would be like 3 weeks of training because they're more technical. And I'm like, dude, just let me do the thing. Like, because then what happens is you get comfortable with someone holding your hand, and then you don't think for yourself.
See, what I find with agents is I fear it's not me that wants them on training wheels; it's them. So, and I'd love if I knew the age, it is good to ride the bike and get rid of the training wheels. Like I'm a huge fan of delegating. I would give people responsibility like they wouldn't believe. I just feel like there's a certain hesitation, and that has to do with, sometimes if you're a perfectionist, some people think I am. I'm not. But if you're a perfectionist, usually that's a procrastination tactic, and it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. You have to know everything. Well, you can't know everything. I tell agents all the time, for sale by owners, expireds, just general prospecting, it's practice. You go there, you do, and you'll learn. And yeah, I think a lot of the times you'll fail. Similar to if you just start riding a bicycle without training wheels, you're gonna fall down, and it's okay. The real learning is knowing that you can get back up.
And that's how you know, like, if you're cut out for it or not. Like, if you're really passionate about it. Like with skateboarding, no one teaches each other how to skateboard. You just do it or you don't, and you learn from people around you. And a lot of people fail at skateboarding because they get injured, and then they don't do it ever again.
I never thought I could rollerblade because I'd never learned how to roller skate.
Right.
Or maybe it's the other thing. I don't think I ever could roller skate. And then rollerblades came out. I was like, well, gotta be somehow cool. Although these days they don't feel that cool anymore. But I was like, oh, and I got a pair of rollerblades, and I just thought, I was like, okay, wait, I can actually do this. I mean, I wasn't jumping over steps or anything, but it's true. It's just like, there's an old phrase, baptism by fire, and just immersion. It's an immersion tactic. Want to learn a language? Go live in that country for 3 months,
right?
6 months even, or even a year. It's just inevitable that you have to learn.
Yeah.
So with real estate, what you were saying, that people fail and they don't get back on the horse. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's two ways it goes. You experience failure or difficulty, and then you give up because you may realize, okay, the pain is not worth the reward. So then you find something else. Or
my argument against that would be, how do you know the reward until you get it?
Well, it's the hope of it and the dream of it. If you can't see the value in something, then if there's difficulty, you'll give up. But if you see the value in something, you're going to keep going and going until you find it.
I feel like you're the way you're talking, though, in my opinion, it sounds like you're like someone who says, I don't eat sushi. And I never, that's not my personality. I've never said I don't eat sushi. I may not have ever eaten sushi until I was 24 years old, but I still went to the trouble to try it. I love it now. I love it. I loved it when I tried it. But it's like,
well, some people don't have that mindset.
Yeah, so how do you make someone so if someone doesn't see the reward, if you don't succeed and obtain the reward, how can you tell me you don't how can
it's
someone
the promise of the reward. So if you you could have
Would you ever hear the phrase, be careful what you wish for?
Yes.
Well, it's the same exact thing, but it can also work in reverse. The promise of the reward doesn't seem to be rewarding enough for the pain that you have to go through to succeed.
And some people don't see it. That some people they don't have the foresight to see that this pain is necessary for this growth, and I have to learn to embrace this whole process to get what I want. They're not looking at the journey of it. It's more, they're like, oh, it's not worth looking at because I experienced this pain. I need to find something that's easier or more efficient to get where I want quicker. And that's not how it works.
You just were given really great advice by our previous guest.
Yeah.
And he said, your generation, the younger people, seem to want everything so fast.
It's a very, and then we came up with another episode idea of truisms.
They complain when it takes 2 minutes.
Well, that's the thing too, because then it's like, oh, I'm sitting here. I knew people, they would make $25 an hour just sitting. Oh, it's so boring. It's, well, now you're making $25 an hour doing nothing. You can utilize the time you're doing nothing to do other things. When I worked at the radio station, I would do editing for other clients because I had a lot of downtime. Yeah. And I was getting paid to have office space, basically.
Well, that's about being resourceful or just I don't know. I have friends in the industry that that hated going to office meetings, and it was it's not a good use of my time, and it's well, yeah, but it depends. Some people hate going to the office, and we in this industry, no one can make it mandatory for you to come into the office,
right?
And a lot of people say, but a lot of the people that have succeeded in real estate made it a point to show up to the office on a regular basis and treat this like a career, or actually better yet, a job that leads into a career. And a lot of people say, I don't, how does it benefit me to get into the office? And I have one story in particular that I'll say, and actually it just recently happened as well. One person could not find a house for their buyer, and they kept losing out on homes. And they were in the office. They walked by my desk. My desk was downstairs, and my colleague, one of my other agents, was in there, and she was hearing him complain. And she went up to him and said, this house my buyers don't like, but it sounds like it'd be the right fit for your buyers. Check it out. It wasn't even her listing. She wasn't going to make any money off of it. But now that agent showed up to the office, and if he ever had told me I don't benefit from showing up to the office, I would have just smacked him. And he was bigger than me, so he would have.
You could have gotten the guy could have gotten a referral if he showed up.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
Or at least
too.
A lawsuit if I hit him.
Oh, well, you know what
but
it is.
He made a sale because he showed up.
Right, and the thing is too is, especially if you don't have a big book of business, you should be in the office more, just so you could be around that environment and learn more. So it's one thing if you have listing after listing after listing, and you genuinely you're going to lose money if you're here. That's one thing. Right.
Once you get rolling in this business, it's almost slightly, although it's not my top producer, the busiest woman I know in real estate currently, she spends I don't want to say she spends more time in the office than me, because I do take hours to do these podcasts with you.
Yes.
And again, we got business from our other guest.
We did.
So it's very interesting, and I guess I'm bringing it all back to the immersion tactic of you want to be a supermodel, or you want to be a real estate agent, then immerse yourself in being a real estate agent. Don't immerse yourself in the excuses that failed real estate agents have an abundance of. I've seen it. I've seen advice come and go in one ear, out the other. I've trained a lot of agents, and the ones that are still in the business after 10 years, after even 3 years and 5 years and 10 years and even 20 years, I will say they're the ones that actually listened to the advice that was given to them by successful people. I won't go into unsuccessful advice. That's a different podcast.
So when I have a question for you.
It's a phrase. Knowing in real estate, it does pay to know what to say and when to say it. And it also pays to know what to listen to and what not to listen to.
I like that.
Now, what were you going to ask?
I was going to ask, what is your training process? Like, how do you give these agents training wheels when they ask for them? And then when do you know when to take them off?
So my training process, what a great question. My training process for a new agent has been in the past, because I think that you try to lead by example. And you can, and they can come in here and they can see that I work at minimum 5 days a week. If we take out the hours of doing something like this, let's pretend I do this, if I thought about it, on my free time. So let's pretend everyone gets 2 days off. So I sacrifice one whole day, hours, depending on how I phrase it, I sacrifice one whole day for a vanity project. This is a vanity project. But it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, I'd say it is.
So let's pretend I sacrifice one whole day. So now technically I work 6 days a week, but 5 days a week. Let's pretend 40 hours a day. Multiply that by 5 days a week. That's 2,000.
What's 2,000?
2,000 hours. No.
I can't do math.
Oh, that can't be right. Anyway, but I just realized what I just did. So anyway, I spent the equivalent, and the way I try to train, you could teach the basics. You could teach the basic paperwork involved for taking a listing, the basic paperwork involved for taking an offer. But I try to just say, I don't want to say the word shadow me, but just ride along. Ride-alongs. Let's put it that way. Let's call it a ride-along. And if someone decided to ride along, it would be, I can't have them ride along, 2 hours spent talking to the chamber president, although he's not, he was actually a different title. But, no. Okay. But that's a ride-along for maybe 20 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now, or maybe even 5 years from now. They would like to do a podcast for themselves because they may have something to say. Or they could do a podcast right now as a new agent. it just has to be featured that way. Well, I think I like that idea.
I think it'd be a cool idea.
We pick a new agent and we make them do a podcast, like a weekly series, like looking through the eyes of.
Because it's a unique perspective too. Like every skill set and level has a different perspective.
So back to the way I teach, I just tell them, ask questions, ask the small questions, ask the big questions, please. The big questions can land us in hot water if they're answered wrong. The small questions, there is no question too small. I have agents that are very successful because they would text me, the seller said this, and it'd be a nice short answer. Like some of my answers are, call the attorney. Defer to the attorney. But at least they asked it. That's the important thing. If you don't ask it and you don't defer to the attorney, in this particular, in depending on the case. So, but most of the time, I think the best way someone can learn from me is just I do it, and then take away the key concepts. It takes years to have the right one-liners. It takes years to know your scripts. You can learn all the scripts, but it takes several years to know when to use them. You can't just say, I have this script in my head, and I'm going to talk to a for sale by owner like I'm going to talk to an expired listing, per se, or a new client, or I'm going to, a conversation about photos or something.
And sometimes when you use those scripts, when you start, it doesn't work as you intend, and then it's like, this is different.
So the shadowing process, someone who might just tag along with me, the one thing that they would learn is it's a relationship business, and it's a casual conversation. It's never supposed to be combative. With my clients, it's what's the word? Friendly. They have questions, and if I have some answers and advice, I help them. If they have questions and I don't have any answers or advice, then we have to find who we need to call, whether it's a lawyer about an eviction or so we'll find out who we have to call. And it's not rocket science, and it's not magic. So all it is conversation. And that's why when the question always comes up, can real estate agents be eliminated with computers or artificial intelligence? Well, first of all, no, because we don't have intelligence. No. No. But, and I don't think they can, as long as we continue to know and understand it's a relationship process. So anyway, I guess the answer to your question, how do I teach agents? We should learn the basics. We should always know the basics and go out of our way, whether it's reading, webinars. There's great information online. Be an expert in your market. Know what's going on. I should be aware that the interest rates are fluctuating. It's important. So I should also know most of the inventory on the market, my competition, or my soon-to-be inventory. So know the inventory. And part of that happens to be with participating in the process, whether it leads to an actual check or not. It's about the process. So I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've answered your question, and I know I'm maybe.
Well, it's teaching the process, and I think you've answered it. It's just teach the process, but go out and do it. And come back to me with questions from how you.
Yeah, it's like if you have an agent who says, I'm doing, and I'm not getting anywhere, and that same agent doesn't have a story to share. Like, I talked to this person and they said this to me, and then I think I had an example of an agent where I told her, take this bottle of wine to him. He needs it more than we do. Okay, the way you know if an agent is actually working or just, believes they're working, that's how you know it. It's the agent that comes back and says, this person on the phone said this. I'm not going to sell now, but I have 3 other properties. I'm like, that's a great lead. Okay, that's the agent that's actually working. So if you don't have the stories, you have to go out and get them. And I mean, just do. It's an unfortunate business in the way that you have to have the faith to do the work and know that the payout is coming, whether it's in the form of a specific lead or if it's in the form of wow, years later, the person you spoke to, their niece or their aunt has a house, and they're like, oh, you were very nice, Anthony, you were very respectful, and my aunt's going to sell her house, it happens to be, a $5 million house on the water. It's that kind of faith. And I guess I take it for granted that I have it. I'm so blessed that I have it. I'm so happy that I have that suspension of disbelief. I also believe people might break into song in the middle of my podcast. That hasn't happened yet.
One day it will.
Yeah, although maybe Jim did. Jim, I don't know. He broke into something on my podcast.
He was having a coughing fit. That's what he was having.
He was, and knock on wood. Obviously, we're all healthy. I didn't catch whatever you had.
Ugh.
I thought he was going to break my coffee table.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to training wheels, and I guess I don't even know how we went from training wheels. So I don't know. I always wonder what is the best way, the best approach.
I think it's a little mix of both. At least for me personally, I'm very independent, but I also want to be shown what to do so I could just understand the basic and then run with it. So for me, like if I'm in a new role, I'm more of like a hands-on guy. I'm great with books and reading and stuff, but I like hands-on, which is why I do this craft, because it's hands-on but also technical, so it's a nice balance.
Yeah.
Show me the system and then I will do the system. And then,
in your particular case, you do have the nice advantage that you end up seeing the finished product very quickly. Within reason. We tape something and then you put it together, you do the editing, you get to see the finished product. And I think that's where this business can be very frustrating to people. The finished product is going to happen. It's just, in some cases it could take months, from start to finish. But again, it's the business. You can either say, and I talked to someone recently, and I've never seen someone that loves looking at houses, loves helping buyers, and loves real estate almost as much as I do. And I was like, yeah, I love it too. I'm just a lot meaner about it. I'm just like, there is, there are rules.
You guys love the journey. It's a journey. It's a whole experience from when you first get the listing to closing it and getting that check. It's a whole process and like an art that goes into it. With what I do, it's more I come in, I set up, and it's more creative. Like there's more. Your business, I feel, is more social.
See, and that's what. So I love putting together little reels for Instagram. Adding the song and make it quirky. I have a very unfortunately sick sense of humor. So so there's certain things that I do enjoy that, and the way TikTok and Instagram seem to have made the editing process like absurd. So I do enjoy that, and although that's not necessarily doesn't assist me in real estate, it just assists me in like a creative outlet.
Well, that's part of your process too, because it adds to the social, and it gives you a unique niche, because you have a very real estate's a blank canvas. You don't have to be creative. You could just be like, okay, meet person, do paperwork, blah, 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 blah.
And I love it when someone says, oh, that video was funny. And well, that's why I made it. I didn't make the video for someone to say, oh, Ted, please sell my house.
But that's how you'll eventually get business.
Well, so in my opinion, that's just the idea of branding.
Yeah.
And branding starts at home. Branding for an agent starts at home on Thanksgiving when you have aunts and uncles and cousins over, or when you're interacting with family members. I'm in real estate, and you don't have to say I love it if you don't love it. I'm in real estate, and talk about how the opportunities that are in here, the opportunities for investment, and then suddenly you're the expert, you're the family expert, and that way when they go to buy or sell a house, they're bound to call you. Branding. I mean, I've seen an agent leave business cards at a deli, and no joke, get a buyer out of it. This is her first week in real estate. I remember this story very well because it's only a 16 months old story. So first week in real estate, business cards, goes to the deli that she goes to often enough. She leaves her business cards there. Someone picks up her business card, calls her up and says, I'm in the market to purchase a home. She happens to be an all cash buyer. She literally buys the first house that she shows her and closes 28 days later on an all-cash transaction. And all she did was the very simple steps of how we training wheels. Go talk to your sphere of influence, people that already know and like you, business owners. If you go to a deli every day, if you have a daycare, you take your children to daycare, talk to the daycare person. Oh, in case you ever need any help or assistance with real estate. That is such I say it to everyone, and they don't necessarily take the advice the same way, because I've seen people thrive on that advice, that one little piece of advice. And at the same time, you have to be a very, upbeat. People want to work with people they like. People want to work with people they trust. And I think that's the mechanism of real estate. And it doesn't hurt to know like everything inside and out about real estate. Yeah. You're never going to know everything, and you're never going to know everything on day one. But that's what day 5 and day 55 and day 555 are for, to keep learning. And I think that's why our attrition rate, I believe the latest statistic, 60,000 agents have left the industry.
Really?
More is on the way, definitely by the end of this month. It's everyone finds that statistic unnerving, but it's just a normal statistic. We have a very horrible attrition rate.
That's for any commission-based industry.
I suppose it is.
Because a lot of people you have to be a specific type of person to get after it and own your own business, especially on commission based. I mean, the way I look at it too is, if you own a business, owning a business, whether it be brick and mortar or what I do, it's also commission based. If I don't go out and I don't market to people and brand myself, I don't get business. It's just that simple. And some people, when they're in a commission based industry and they're working under a company, they just don't. It just doesn't click for them. It's the same thing.
So I guess what I'm really saying is, it's not riding a fucking bicycle. Take the fucking training wheels off and get out there and work. And that's exactly what I do preach. And that's exactly how I learned. I had a great support staff with me when I was a brand new agent. So I always had backup. I knew I had backup, but that enabled me to just go forward. When you have a lot of backup, you could do a lot of front up.
Exactly, and that's why it blows my mind when there's a nice infrastructure in place that people don't take advantage of it. It's like you have all these professionals here willing to help you. They're in the same boat. They were just like you. You have to go and make money to succeed.
My Orange Theory coach, when we're all running on that treadmill and she's hollering, you have to be stronger than your excuses. Mm-hmm. That is it. So, to all agents out there, if you're not stronger than your excuses, it's your own fault. And she also says, it's you against you. Look in the mirror. That's the only reason you're doing it.
You want to be better every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Take the training wheels off.
Well, I think that about covers it for this one, right?
Yes. I'm Ted. I am Ted today.
You are Ted today.
I'm Ted. This is the Real Ted G podcast. Find us on Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. The Real Ted G podcast.